In this video, I'll be finding out if I can beat Borderlands 2 while deprived. It hurts so bad seeing those guns on the ground and knowing I can't take them. It's like I'm a little gimp and this game's my mistress. What the fuck, man? Oh, what the f- Judging by the title of this video, you're probably asking yourself, what's a deprived run? Well, before I tell you, I wasn't too sure where to find this information on what type of run this would be called or if someone's already done this. Simply because there's multiple things that are in this challenge that I couldn't quite put my finger on what this could be called, or if someone has already done this. So please feel free to tell me if, I'm a complete idiot and someone's already done this before. So with that out of the way, a deprived run has simple yet infuriating aspects to it. The first one being that you can't use the talent tree, including your special ability. So I can't rely on gun damage passives or passives that help me with survivability. I wanted to include the special ability too because, it's already in the talent tree tab. The second rule is you can only use items with the rarity of the gray quality. So if you see that big purple item fly out, or even feel that beautiful orange warmth grace your eyes, don't think about picking it up, because just like that one friend that would always chase you and tag because you were too fat and too slow to outrun them and would lose almost instantly, and you get so mad that you just go home and play your Xbox because that's where you can outrun anybody no matter what your size and shape when you were a kid, they're dead to you. Number 3, you can't use shields and any passive healing items. With no shields, you would have to rely on using passive healing items like class mods, relics, and healing grenades to keep you alive longer. I thought that would make it too easy since that would be almost like having a shield. So now I can only have my health recover from stims that can be found off enemies, chests, purchasing it from one of Zed's vending machines, leveling up, or just dying and respawning with full HP again. As you can imagine, this seems like the most unfun thing ever, and you'd be 100% correct. This challenge was the most time-consuming and frustrating video that I've recorded. Unlike my other videos where the games I was playing were my first full playthroughs, I played Borderlands 2 including the rest of them minus the Telltale and the pre-sequel, so I know a thing or two about how to play Borderlands, but with this challenge it will change how I approach the game. One more thing, it's a little disclaimer, but my badass rank was around 200,000 because I'd gotten a save several years back, some axe didn't save, and so that might be why sometimes you'll see me doing a lot more damage than I should be. Now with the introduction out of the way, let's get into the video. So starting off, the choice of my character didn't matter since nothing unique to the character is really going to help me besides maybe like the size of the character. So I chose every Coomer's favorite, Maya. We wake up to Claptrap digging us a snowy grave. He gives me back my HUD and the both of us head inside his little hideout where a four-armed monkey rips Claptrap's eye out of his socket, and we set off to find the four-armed bandit. We find the animal behind taking Claptrap's eye, Knuckle Dragger. Killing it was pretty easy since it's supposed to be like a tutorial boss. We get Claptrap's eye back, only problem being that we can't properly put it back in since the wiring's all messed up. So we go find Sir Hammerlock to fix him up. We power up Mr. Hammerlock's gate, let Claptrap get shocked by the gate so he shuts up and Hammerlock fixes his eye. Did some bullymong killing for Hammerlock, gave myself a little bit of an outfit change and agreed to be Claptrap's bodyguard until we got to his ship. Before we could do that, we're stopped by the mini boss fight Boom Boom. It was a pretty close fight since I went in with half health, but with the odds stacked against me, I was able to beat them by only taking one hit from Boom's explosive shotgun. Thankfully having a shotgun that can stun like Boom's little brother Boom and then killing Boom, I blew up the gate, blocking the path using Boom's turret, knocking Claptrap to the moon. Made it all the way up to our official boss fight, Captain Flint. I knew this was going to be a little bit of a rough boss fight because if you aren't familiar with Borderlands, different elements are strong against certain types of health. Let me break it down for you. So electric zaps shields, which are blue, acid eats away at armor, which is yellow, and fire melts flesh, which is red. Fortunately for me, I am permanently exposed to fire damage. The boss we're fighting uses a lot of fire, so this is going to take me a couple of tries. My first try took me a bit since I had to fight through some bandits to get the boss to come down. I go down from a flying axe and almost get knocked off the edge from Flint's leap. In the end, I fail this attempt when he decides to pull out his gun. My fight for your life timer couldn't save me since I abused it in the entire fight, and I got back up to fight him again. This time was off to a shaky start since I wanted to dive straight into a fire vent and then immediately touch another fire vent. Got back up from killing one of the psychos, then immediately went back down after getting set on fire from the other psycho. You can see why this boss fight is shaping up to be a little rough. I get my second win and Flint goes down. It wasn't so bad, it only took me about 2 tries to down our first boss, but the bosses were only going to get worse from here. After finally getting Claptrap to his ship, it was time I set sail to the Three Horns Divide. First order of business was to get a car, the only problem being the catch ride machine was locked and I needed a special part, so Angel informed me that she can help me out. So I scurried along to a nearby camp to get the little thing she wanted me to look for, and I got my ride. Before I can get into Sanctuary, I needed to check on one of Roland's men to see if they were okay, to only find out that they weren't okay, and I told him that it's okay to not be okay. Roland then told me Uh-oh. Can you also find a power core for the Sanctuary? So, I got it for him. Put the power core in and made my way into Sanctuary. Met my favorite character, Scooter. Installed some fuel cores for him. Bought some upgrades from Crazy Earl. Finally made it to the Crimson Raiders hideout. Only to find out that Roland's been kidnapped. And I need to go help find him. So, this is where we find ourselves at Frostburn Canyon. Inside of Frostburn, I knew it was going to be quite the lengthy run to get to my objective if I decided to fight all the enemies along the way. So, I decided it was best that I speedrun it, only to be stopped by a badass psycho's flying axe. I did what any sane person would do and I ran back there to hopefully be able to run past him, only to run right into a pipe spewing fire out of it, and another one. You can kind of see the theme here with me and fire. Thankfully I didn't spawn that far and was able to make it to the objective. I find this nice Meloan revolver and then I meet with Lilith. Lilith doesn't feel so well, so we got her some iridium so she would start feeling better. I ended up giving it to her and she fought off some waves of enemies with me. The badass psychos here weren't so bad since I had Lilith to knock them back with her passive. I do die once here and two of the badass psychos decide to try and spawn camp me. After that's over, I go and get the last of Lilith's iridium nuggies, and she gives me my first class mod. The only trait in this mod was team health regen, and I was curious if I could just keep it on for the pure reason of just have the name above my XP bar. But in the end, I regened 1 point of my HP and threw it back in Lilith's face in sheer disgust that she would just do such a thing. Lilith sends me on a rescue mission for Roland, who's been captured by a group of bandits. When I pulled up to the clubhouse, I tooted the secret password at them and they didn't feel like letting me in because I wasn't in a cool enough car. Scooter tells me that he has a friend that can help me out by pimping my ride. This is where we meet Ellie. Ellie tells me she can help, but I just need to get some parts from bandit vehicles around the area. After getting the last part, I went back to Ellie to get my new car built and we were off to the races. I went back to the stronghold and was able to trick them into opening the gate. It was fairly easy to clear out the bandits here besides some enemies with 3 levels on me. After all that, Flank Steak sends out Big Maw. Being a mini-boss and 4 levels ahead of me, you could imagine that this would be next to impossible, but even death couldn't stop me from throwing my head against the wall. I used the plan of running Big Maw around this little hut that he would sometimes turn around and show me his backside. With a combination of time and my fire weapon, I was able to beat him. I opened the gate and finally infiltrated the Bloodshot stronghold. This is where I started to realize that time and effort wasn't worth the agony that I was putting myself through. So, I packed my bags and blew this popsicle stand. I went out into the open world to do some side quests to get around the stronghold's relative level. When I went outside, finally, Big Maw was resurrected from the dead. I snuck past him and hopped in my ride. Now, I won't bore you with all the side quests I was doing. All you need to know is I just fixed a pump, delivered some packages, and lit a volleyball net on fire that took me way longer than it should have. I eventually made my way back to the stronghold, killed Big Maw to fuel my ego. Killing the bandits became much more of a breeze, besides me getting stuck in between a pipe and turning into a sitting duck, and Mad Mike proving himself to be a bit of a challenge. I make it to my sweet Prince Roland, only for him to be kidnapped by a Hyperion robot. I knew it was too good to be true. I get to Roland. I came pretty close and only got mildly upset. Bro. My second attempt went pretty well and was able to down the warden. Made myself a new look, bought some upgrades from my boy Earl, and spoke with Roland. Roland basically tells me he wanted to get the gang back together, so the first person I needed to wrangle up was the Birdman himself. No, not Birdman from Cash Money Records. I mean Mordecai. While kissing and hugging with Mordecai, I also met up with Tiny Tina, and we formulated a plan to hijack a Hyperion train. First things first, she wanted me to get the badonkadonks, aka rockets with plushies attached to them, which is funny because a badonkadonk is actually just a slang term for a big butt. But back to the rocket badonkadonks. This was quite the struggle since there is one too many enemies around for little old me with no way to protect himself to deal with it. I got all the rockets. I let Tina do her little crafty work. With the badonkadonks made, I set them up to fire at the train tracks, and I made my way to the end of the line. I fought my way through Hyperion robots, and ran into the man that's holding the vault key, Wilhelm. The hard part of this fight was trying to get a safe enough distance away from him and dealing with the surveyors that would continually give him a shield. After having a pitiful first attempt, on my second attempt, I don't know why I thought with the gear I had I could just blow through 3 surveyors shielding him, so I just came to terms and took him out. After some running around and fighting off ads, and the boss, I ended up dying to a bullet ricocheting off of power loader's spinning hands. On my third attempt, I decided to take out the power loaders from a distance and jump into the fight after that. Wilhelm decided to show me his new cool rocket move that he'd never done before, and fortunately for me, it did catch me off guard. The rockets dropped me to 47 HP, so not a very good start. I decided to run around and collect some stims left on the ground. With some running around in circles of the arena, I was able to down him in 3 attempts. Oh god, I threw up in my mouth. There ends up being no vault key but a power core that we could use for the sanctuary. I installed it, and it's actually a trap set by Jack. and it makes the shield fall down and the Hyperion spaceship in the sky attacks us. I find rolling under some rubble and collect some more iridium nuggies for Lilith to send Sanctuary into the sky. Fortunately for me, I got sent out by accident. So, the plan of action is to find a beacon close enough to beam me up back to Sanctuary. First step to get back in the clubhouse, I have to go to my favorite place in real life, the fridge. In the fridge, there are some shifty enemies called tunnel rats. I fought my way through these enemies fairly easily. Finally made my way to the highlands, witnessed Sanctuary appear out of thin air. Find out that I can't be beamed back into Sanctuary because we need to get a better signal for the fast travel beacons. Yippee! So, I snuck past these needle stalkers to the best of my ability, but little did I know, some Hyperion hot loaders were waiting for me, and you know how me and fire go. Not good. My second time around, I chose not to waste any more time, made it to the Hyperion extraction plant, and ran into a big loader that stopped me right in my tracks. I got flashbacks from the Bloodshot Stronghold and didn't want to shoot toothpicks at skull enemies anymore. So I kicked rocks and got off their turf and decided it was time for my anime training arc, aka do more side quests. Helped out my girl Tiny Tina getting her tea party kicking off, and got tempted by my first orange drop. Oh, it hurts, man, it hurts. With some time to think, I decided for some reason that it was a good idea to go back to the Hyperion extraction plant. Made it to the trolley that could carry me to my arch nemesis, the constructor. This thing became my worst nightmare whenever I set my eyes on it. It was like seeing the girl's face from the first exorcism when I was like 7. It made me cry. This thing had a laser beam that would almost one-shot me, homing rockets that could fly directly at you, or homing missiles that would just go into the air and dive bomb onto you. This constructor. It was a complete nightmare to deal with. I didn't want to go back to doing side quests because that seemed like a reasonable thing to do. I decided it was best for my mental health to just hide on the trolley and snipe at it from a distance. But this constructor had a little funny hee-hee-ha-ha mechanic with its laser. It had a certain duration it would channel its laser for, and then cancel it if I line of sighted it, only to then stand back up into it and immediately die from it, or take a huge chunk of damage. Bruh. You gotta me, man. If you listen very carefully, the last rocket landed and the laser sound started for 1/3 of a second, and then I stood up and immediately got zapped by it. But I came fairly close to killing it even with that happening. So, I rethought my strategy of playing peekaboo with the constructor and just waited until it did something else like spawn enemies or shoot rockets, leading to me finally killing it. After finishing the whole snoozer of a fight, I finally made it to the lunar supply beacon, only for it to be snatched up by a thresher. The thresher's little tentacle slaps proved to have quite the distance on them, and treating me like one of those videos I watch every now and then. My second time around, I just let the Hyperion robots take all the aggro, while I just cowardly shoot it from far. Picked up the beacon, deployed the beacon, defended it from the onslaught of Hyperion robots, and finally beamed myself back into Sanctuary. Inside of Sanctuary, me and the gang planned on how we're gonna get this Volkey, and my first task for this plan was to go into the Wildlife Exploitation Preserves. When I got just outside of it, Mordecai informed me that his sidekick Bloodwing has been burned up by some Hyperion thugs, and we need to help get her back for an upgrade for Claptrap. There's no time for this. I needed to go do some side quests on to get booty blasted by the Hyperion, but I only leveled about half a level and I found myself on the beaches of Normandy, but only this time I was storming into a wildlife preserve, and instead of the Axis, it was flying metal birds and robots built like bulldozers. Needless to say, it didn't go very well, and I wasn't about to do the whole stalkers and skags part without some decent damage. So, I went back to side questing prison. While doing side quest, I knew the main story quest that I was on was going to eventually lead me to the Bloodwing fight, so I needed to make sure that I was around her level, which was like 21 or something. I'll explain why this is important to the best of my knowledge. The TLDR is because when enemies are 3 or more levels above you, they're marked with the skull icon, and the higher the level they are, the less damage you're going to do, but they give you also more experience. If they go beyond that, you'll actually get less experience to do far less damage. But that didn't stop me from only doing enough quests until I hit 18 and bashed my head against the Bloodwing fight. After death running my way through the wildlife preserve, finally made it to Bloodwing. At the start of the fight, I used these 2 boxes to block myself from the diving claw attacks. That would do quite a bit of my health. My first attempt was going fairly well until Bloodwing came down and pecked me into some skags, then finishing me off with their signature fireball. My second attempt started off with Bloodwing clawing me behind cover, when she would just otherwise stop mid-flight and fly back up. Then I got met with a new fancy pants move she had, which was hover above me and breathe fire on me that would cook me alive. Needless to say, I wasn't too happy about that. What in the f***, man? Why did she just do something that just f***ing all of a sudden is brand new? Hey, she's trying to claw and dive bomb you and shoot fireballs. Did you know that she can also just fly and hover above you and breathe fire all over you? Oh, you didn't know that? Oh, wow. Unfortunate. Time to start it over again. I was only 2 attempts in and I was feeling like this was going to be a doozy. On attempt number 3, kept my same tactic of hiding behind my little boxes and hope she doesn't breathe fire on me. This time she decided not to spit on me and I got her phase 2, which was electricity. This phase went relatively well until these skags distracted me from Bloodwing's massive AoE attack she does, where she just shoots lightning everywhere. Fortunately, I was able to stand back up from killing a skag and getting her to phase 3, which was corrosion. Which didn't last very long since she sniped me with her green spitball. Ain't no way that hits me out of everything. Out of everything! On my 4th attempt, the skags decided that it was time to pay me an early visit, and so did Bloodwing. You know what? I'm glad Bloodwing dies. My 5th attempt wasn't really an attempt. I was just wanting to see if I could cheese it by not dropping down into the arena, but somehow her dive bomb kills me anyways. My 6th attempt ends miserably by me getting sniped by one of the balls of electricity. 7th try doesn't go so well when Bloodwing breathes fire on me. 8th attempt ends with me getting smited by Bloodwing. The 9th attempt, I'll just let the clip play out. Oh, the dogs are out now. Oh, fantastic. Yippee. Man, fantastic. This is going great. Oh my god, why can't you just be fucking stuck, man?
She's coming for you! Look out! Get behind something!
10th attempt didn't go so well because the skags downing me and Bloodwing running me down and breathing fire on me. My 11th attempt, I felt myself needing some sort of luck with what abilities would cast, since I don't think there would be enough time for me to run away from her AoE or cone attack. Unfortunately, luck wasn't on my side this time. Just when I thought the run was over, I looked to my right and spotted a skag and 2-shotted it. It was looking good. I got myself back up after being unlucky and got Bloodwing to our 3rd phase, only that my time had run short after Bloodwing mauled me. There's no way all of the sudden it works. My mental at this point was hitting an all-time low and I was starting to lose hope. Attempt number 12 didn't go so well. We started off with Bloodwing blowing her fire at me again and skags at the ready to jump me. I was able to recover and get Bloodwing into phase 2, but there were no dogs around for me to recover from her AoE attack. Attempt number 13, I put on some music and decided I was going to cheese Bloodwing's 1st phase, and then hop down when she swaps to electricity. Jumping down didn't start off on the wrong foot. I got barfed on and pounced on by another skag. With this minor setback, I was able to persevere and get her to phase 3, dodging spitballs and diving claw attacks while dealing with some skags that spawn. Bloodwing was able to land a sneaky claw attack. I dodged another claw attack and swapped to my sniper rifle. With the grace of luck and some skill, I was able to land a headshot on her, weakening her enough for Mordecai to trank her, allowing me to collect the chip on her collar and for Jack to blow off her head.
Explosive!
With that out of the way, it was time for step 2, to get some more support on our side to infiltrate the bunker. What better people than the Slab King himself, Brick. Brick and I fought our way through waves of Hyperion robots and also destroyed mortar beacons in the process. After stopping the Hyperion surprise attack, I met up with Brick back at the Sanctuary with the rest of the Borderlands 1 squad, and we thought out a plan of how we were going to get through Jack's front door. The plan we came up with was to kill Jack's doppelganger and take some sort of voice changing device. I'm pretty sure that's what it was, if I remember correctly. But with some resilience, elbow grease, and dying once, I was able to get behind this pillar and snipe him down relatively easily. I ran around to get voice samples for the Pocket Watch device, with Jack's voice on the device. We were ready to start the attack. Before I did that, I wanted to see what I was in store for. Now, checking the quest log, I saw that it was 4 levels below the recommended. Now, the reason why that could be scary is because at the bare minimum, I need to at least be level 24, and the enemies are going to be at least around 24 to 26. So, if I were to show up, the only useful thing I could do is just to pull up to Jack's door and just piss my pants and roll over into the fetal position. That's how bad that would go. So, I just went off into the sunset and did my little side missions. I won't bore you as much as I was, so here's me dinging for 2 levels. My curiosity got the best of me and I showed up to Jack's door to piss my pants, and I pissed it hard. There were jet loaders that would swoop down and spank me, quick scoping Hyperion soldiers, war loaders, and my worst nightmare, the constructor. After death and after death, I decided enough was enough, and I was going to come back stronger. While doing side missions, I wanted to know what it was like to actually have a good gun, so I started downloading Borderlands 3 while I was questing. I got my 1 level and thought it would do me well. It didn't. This didn't stop me from getting in my way though. To put into perspective of how long this took, here's the entire footage of me killing the constructor at 1000% speed. After that complete time waster, I continued to fight my way up the hill in a mini jet loader. This thing felt harder to kill than the constructor, although it wasn't in a retrospect. It just felt like that at the time. I eventually got it to land and I killed it. Then the worst possible thing happened. Another constructor had been deployed, and this time it was a badass constructor. But I was in luck though. I was able to stand at a safe distance in the open and rain fire onto it. Did some more fighting and made it into the bunker. The first task for taking down the bunker was destroying all the bunker's autocannons. Now with all the autocannons out of the fight, it was finally time to face the bunker. Now, I'm not going to act like I did anything skillful here because all I did was hide under the main platform and shoot at the bunker. So after some time of shooting, buying more ammo, and shooting some more, the bunker fell with little to no effort. I'm sorry, please don't yell at me. I went down and spoke the secret password and then made my way down the elevator. Down deep in the Hyperion territory, this is where I met Angel. She informed me that the only true way of stopping the vault key was to destroy its catalyst, which was Angel. Jack interrupts us and she gets put into timeout. The only way now that we can stop this key from being charged is to break these iridium injectors, but first we had to break these shields. While waiting for help from Roland to disarm these shields, I needed to defend myself from Hyperion robots and the occasional trap. When I finished breaking the iridium injector with no hesitation, Jack beams down and opens an opportunity for me with Lilith. Never mind, Jack cock blocks me. Jack forces Lilith to kill me, but she overcomes it with her pure lust for me, sending me to Sanctuary. I put on my serious outfit and made my way to the Iridium Blight. Around this time, I learned my lesson for over 10 hours of recording that I should probably just do side quests instead of trying to catapult my way to the end of the story. As you could expect, nothing too crazy happened. I helped Marcus scam some customers out of their refund checks, checked on Jack's grandmammy, and I decided it wasn't worth jumping, although this playthrough made me want to, in-game. Got level 25 and continued down the story missions. This toil and trouble quest I did for Mordecai just really put me in such an awful mood. From how many times, you can probably hear it in my voice how passionate I'm getting. I was dying and how long it was taking. Here's how I felt about it nearly an hour into only this mission.
Shit. What are these wall hacks, bro? They're literally just fucking curving the bullet under 1 inch of the fucking scaffolding. But when I try to do it, the bullet just fucking hits it. Alright, I guess I'm just gonna have to fucking do 1 life per fucking buzzard because they're just obnoxious to kill. Yippee! And it's time to die to mortar again because this mission is just so fucking obnoxious with all the fucking enemies. Yippee, let's go, let's go. Hey. Mortar's just chilling on the elevator. For whatever reason, he's just chilling on the elevator. Kill me. Hurry up, buddy. I don't understand. Why is he just sitting on the elevator?
Needless to say, I wasn't a very happy camper. Finished grabbing the last of the supply crates and made my way to Arid Nexus. I hope I'm saying that right. That's a very weird word. I checked the missions tab to only find out I am again underleveled for the main story and need to go take a hike. Got to level 26 and went back to the main story. I mainly used the bandit vehicle here to clear out most of the enemies on the pump station. It made me feel some sense of security because it was inevitable. I was forced to go outside of my car, making me uncomfortable, much like when I leave my room to go outside. I was out of my element. So, after a couple of deaths, I came up with the genius idea of, hey, I don't actually need to kill these guys. I can simply run past all of them and turn on all the valves. This way I can escape back to my car, much like how I escaped back to my room to avoid any social interaction. Anyways, after overloading the pump, I applied the same tactic to the next location and Dukes of Hazzard my way through the pipeline. I ran up the pipeline, fought my way through an army of robots, then proceeded into the pearly gates of the OG Badlands. made a quick side mission pit stop, and made my way back on track. Now, I played this game back in 2012 when I was in 8th grade. I was 13, so I was a wee lad. But somehow, I did not remember the part of the Badlands where the mini-boss called Saturn, and it had this mission to clench on to its prey and not let it go. There was no cover for the distance of about a half a football field, so running past this thing was going to be based entirely on luck. My second attempt didn't go as well, from being bombarded with kamikaze drones and thinking I outsmarted it by making it jump off the bridge. I was able to stand up from this setback, but ended up dying anyways. My third attempt to try and get past this behemoth, I stood my ground, and much like the Straw Hat Pirates trying to fight Bartholomew, it was not worth my effort. The fourth time around, Saturn must have learned the Soru tech from the Cypher Pole, because he just decides to vanish in a blink of an eye. The fifth time around, I attempted to cheese the whole Saturn thing, and that didn't go as planned. I got up and put on my big boy pants and thought enough was enough, and decided it was time to hide in my safe place and cheese this boss yet again. This time it took much longer than the construct I killed earlier. Yeah, you thought I was going to kill this thing? No. I ran out of ammo before I could even kill it, wasting 18 minutes. I decided to stock up some ammo, and with the last 200 bullets in my rifle, and 11 minutes and 18 seconds on the clock, I downed the giant metal man. Finally got my data map and gave it to Birdman himself. I made my way to Iridium Blight to finally end this. Me and Claptrap charged head on, only to be stopped by a door that he couldn't figure out how to open. Claptrap finally tapped into his hacking skills and opened the door. Claptrap couldn't come along, so I was pretty much on my own from this point. I made my way into Heroes Pass, only to find out it wasn't going to get any easier from here. But my will to escape this hell was at an all-time high. With some near-death experiences, and death experiences, I was getting closer and closer to finishing this. That is, until the train ran out of steam. There was a constructor standing in my way. With little energy I had, I pressed on, hiding in the distance, trying to overcome this last hurdle. With some trial and error, I was able to smite it down. I was finally going to go toe-to-toe with Jack himself. With some failed attempts, I knew it was time that I took one last stroll down memory lane and power level up. I attempted the stomach doing the side quest, but that turned out that would take me too much time. Do the survival mission that would just spawn waves of enemies, and I would farm them for about an hour and a half. After a little bit more farming, I got bored and went back to the drawing board of what's the fastest way I can level. I already had an idea that killing enemies is probably the fastest way, so the light bulb went off in my head, and I thought, why not go back to Saturn? Each kill rewarding around 14,000 XP, so didn't seem that bad. I went ahead and farmed them for a little over an hour and got to level 31. Made it back to Heroes Pass and beat Handsome Jack fairly easily with this rocket launcher I had. Then Jack hit the nuclear launch and summoned the warrior. Without some sort of plan of action, I went down fairly quickly and died soon after. My second attempt, I used the same tactic of just hiding where I took down Jack from, but when I jumped down, it was a fucking mistake. My third attempt, I formulated a plan of taking out the ads and actually paying attention to what the boss is doing. Even with precise thinking, I was still caught with my pants down, until I was able to land these 3 nasty crits in a row onto this little rock guy, running around saving the run. I took the warrior seriously now and took shelter behind an elevated ground every time he decided to breathe fire onto me. It didn't get any more climactic from here. This just kept on happening repeatedly until I finally killed him. With the warrior and Jack dead, I had beaten Borderlands 2 while being deprived of all that is good. For some celebration, I decided to use some new toys and swat down enemies like they were flies. Spent some of my golden keys and took one last look at my accomplishment that holds no value, but who cares. Back around the start of the video, I mentioned that I was a badass rank 212,000 due to a save I downloaded. If you're curious, I took a screenshot after I recorded and edited this. If you're wondering what my bonus stat spread looked like, let me know what you thought about this and if I should do the other Borderlands games. If you enjoyed the video, please check out my other videos and drop a like and comment. Also, please subscribe. I'm almost at 500 subs, and it would mean a lot if you guys could help me out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next. Peace.